kind of doesn't tell you is the difficulty. There it goes. All right,
There it
ready?
is. Yeah. Oh, I heard that one.
I'm really improved my clapping. I'm very proud of my clapping. I've really improved it a lot. I feel like I'm generally a fairly decent clapper. Are you ready?
Yeah, I was born ready. Just give me 1 second so I can. Oh, what? I mean, who
Hmm.
who has ads before their videos?
Well, I mean, anybody who's trying to anybody, I think, is basically how it all works out. What are you trying to do there, Big Hoss?
Just trying to get people, do a little bit of social media-ing,
Oh,
which
okay, okay.
I never thought I'd say, but here we are. So
I have incredibly itchy ears. Do you feel like you have itchy ears?
no, because I take a shower.
I take showers too, but my ears are very itchy. I go through phases. I'm going through an itchy ear phase. Probably because I go way too far in there with a Q-tip every day, basically. It's my own fault. I know it's my own fault. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna do two things at once for the next 45 seconds, but
Oh, okay.
I'll be ready. I think I'm in the game.
I feel like if you're trying to do two things at once for the next 45 seconds, it just means you're going to be doing two things poorly for the next 45 seconds. So if you're
Well,
trying to do something, why don't you finish what you're trying to do? And then I'll just wait.
I mean,
We'll
how
just
about you
hang
finish?
out for a second.
All good. Let's see. Let's see where we get to here. All right, I'm good. I'm back. Let's do this thing.
Okay. All right. Um, what do you think is weirder? Not wearing underwear or wearing socks without shoes?
I actually have an easy answer to this one because I just started the No Underwear Club recently, and I have to tell you, it is enlightening and amazing. So I'm gonna say wearing shoes with no socks to me is would be weirder.
How did you make the decision to go commando?
Well, actually, I mean, it's kind of funny you asked that question. And once again, for those of you out there that have no idea who we don't really go over things beforehand. But just so you know, Nick, I have started wearing sandals for the first time really in my life this summer,
Okay. Okay.
and commando.
Okay.
Like
I'm pretty
I'm
anti-sandal.
a new person. I'm a new man.
But that didn't answer the question. Like, why did you decide to start going commando? Like, what was the reason you decided, like, I'm not going to wear underwear anymore?
That's actually a good question. I'm not really sure the true answer to that, other than it's just kind of makes you feel free. Freedom isn't free.
I have been a commando person for a long time. I have gone commando, I would say at least for the last 5 years. And it is very freeing. It
Hmm.
also feels a little bit cooler. I haven't personally ran into any difficulties with going commando. Maybe other people have, but I personally haven't ran into any issues.
I mean, I haven't either. And I'm new to the club, so please accept me with open arms. But yeah, it's. I feel like we sometimes can put too many layers on. The older I get, the less layers I want on. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I generally don't want to really have to deal with any kind of hassle in anything, whether that is just tasks or clothing or whatever. I just want my life to be a lot easier. And that's one step. Like, not putting on underwear is one step I don't have to do.
I mean, once again, I do, but commando. There's something to be said for going commando. It's good. It's not as bad as you think.
No, but I would never wear shoes without socks. I would
Yeah,
never wear shoes without socks. To me, that's like the grossest thing. Like, I can't stand that feeling.
yeah. I never would. Like I said, I didn't even wear sandals really till this summer. So that'll tell you where I am with that.
That's big. That's a big moment to be able to do that. I'm not a person who would wear sandals. Yeah, I'm just not. I would never wear sandals at all.
Once again, it's kind of freeing. Not going to compare it to not wearing underwear, but it's kind of freeing. It's nice just being able to slip them on, go in the water, come out. You know, you don't have to worry about socks. You don't have to worry about wet legs, wet feet. It's not bad.
But wait a minute, are you wearing the kind of sandals that like they strap around your back, like your heel, like they're kind of secured on, or are you wearing more like out there sandals?
Oh yeah, definitely flip flops. I am not sophisticated enough for the wraparound sandal with the Velcro and the straps. No, I'm good with that. I'm not to that level yet.
You got to let it out there, right? Like I have something a little bit against the idea of wearing sandals that are basically just shoes. Like I don't appreciate that. Either do it or don't. Like do one or do the other. You know, that's just the way that I look at it.
Just don't go in the middle, right? Either go left or right. Don't just sit there in the gray zone.
Yeah, exactly, right? Either put them on or take them off.
I will say there is something that's quite
Okay.
annoying about wet feet and like trying to put socks on or even putting shoes on. Like that's probably one of the more annoying things to me.
That's pretty much the only part of my body that like I don't really want it to ever be wet is my feet. I don't like I don't go around my house without socks on. I don't
Wow.
really I'm almost never barefoot unless I'm
Hmm.
going to bed. That's the only time I would say that I'm barefoot.
Is it? I mean, is there a reason why? Is it just you
I
just
just
don't
don't like
want
the
to?
idea of like I don't know what's on things like people who walk outside without shoes on. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
I mean, in a lot of countries and cultures, that's what they do. That's what they don't have sandal shoes, so they just walk on dirt, rocks. I'm gonna say this, and I hope some people out there know what I'm saying, but I think I have soft feet. I don't think I have hardened feet at all. Like if I'm to walk, on the sidewalk without shoes on or socks, I'm that person that's like, ooh, ah, ooh.
Oh yeah, I can't walk. If it's not like perfect concrete, I can't walk on it. Like if there's any sort of unevenness to it or any sort of small rock, we're talking like
Yeah.
grains of sand. My feet are hurting. Like I'm maybe that's why because I baby my feet. I take care of my feet, man.
Got
I
to,
think that's
man.
one of the most important parts of your body. It'll mess everything up if you got bad feet.
All right, well let's go to some people that hopefully don't have bad feet.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna give some shout outs here. Archie Barton, Chris Pabst, Cole McLaughlin, Paul Rinaldi, Sky Smith, Saeed Yasser, Fabian Hahn, David Larson, Carter England, Aaron Yang, and Zane Whitson. Congratulations.
I forgot about this, but I polled the audience asking them what's weirder, wearing shoes without socks or going without underwear. 56% said no underwear. 44% said wearing shoes without socks. So not wearing underwear is apparently weirder than not wearing socks. But this was a big vote, 2,000 votes. Pretty
Wow.
close, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's not too far for 2,000 votes. I also think that it's a little obviously harder to know if somebody is or isn't wearing underwear. As with the sandals and the socks, like you can just tell.
My wife complains and she says that apparently people can tell that I'm not wearing underwear, but I can't tell. Like I feel like you've got to really look there. Some of the comments on it were free balling, also known as going commando. It's not worse, but socks. You're gonna feel really weird after about 5 minutes. Like I would think it would make all your shoes stink.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah. Just trying to think of a
Okay.
scenario
All right. All right.
where trying to think of a scenario where like going commando would be in the same realm as the whole, wearing no socks with shoes. Like I don't even think they're on the same playing field.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine not wearing socks. I've lost interest to be honest with you.
All right, well let's go to some current topics here. Uh I literally so I've been keeping I'm changing this up and I've been keeping like notes of things throughout the last week of things that I think are interesting. So we'll see how
Okay.
that plays out. Um so Hulk Hogan We all know what he did at the RNC, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want
Okay.
to talk about his new beer line. Would you? And I want to bring up for two specific reasons. One, do you consider Hulk Hogan, and hopefully he's listening to this or watching this? Do you consider him to be a washed up celebrity? And two, is the whole him getting his own beer line strictly a money making venture because he wants to be relevant and needs the cash?
I always wonder about celebrities when they do stuff like that. Like, are they broke or do they just need the attention?
Yeah,
Because I don't understand a lot of it. Like, we obviously have a podcast, but there's a lot of people who podcast, and I wonder, like, why are you doing this? Because if I ever had an opportunity where I had millions of dollars, you would never hear from me again. Like, why would you start doing that? Like, I guess maybe it's they need the attention, or some people just the thing is like I was very lucky in life to make this a whole rant. And then I learned very early on the idea of when enough is enough. And I think some people never learn that. Because if you can't find the happiness with the things that you have, like that black hole is never going to be filled. Like you're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have enough attention. And I think some people just, they never learn when enough is enough.
well, and for somebody like him, where you are literally the top person, maybe in the world in terms of entertainment, for 5 to 10 years, and then the last 30 years have been the downfall. I mean, I just don't know how I don't know how you do it if you're that person.
But
I just have
then,
no
but you
idea.
have to have a concept of when enough is enough. Like you were one of the most famous people in the world for a little bit. Like that's not good enough for you. That didn't fill that hole. You got doing this and selling like crappy beer. Like I would want to just ride off into the sunset by that time. Like you had your run. Let somebody else have a turn. And also, it's not really his beer. Like it's somebody else's, and they just paid him to put his name on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's yeah, the whatever. I don't even know who makes it to be honest, but whoever makes the beer obviously has a partnership with him to where they get to use his likeliness, and that's how they'll sell millions of cans worth.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about something that has me completely mind boggled here.
Okay.
Last week in Winstead, Connecticut. I have no idea where that is, but I do know where Connecticut is. Somehow, some way, an adult black bear and its cub became locked inside of a car after opening the door. Got inside the car. The door then shuts and they're locked inside. So as typical bears would do, they literally ate themselves out of the car to get out, breaking the windows, eating the interior. I have a lot of questions about this one, but apparently it's a true story. But I don't know how bears get in and shut the doors on themselves. That's the first question I have. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, they do have like paws. It is possible. Maybe they like push the door too hard. Like if you push a door too hard, it bounces back and then shuts. I don't know, man. It's like
I
that's a
guess
mystery.
I would.
That's just one of those things. Like, how do you even explain without video? Like, how do you explain that to the car insurance company? Like,
Oh man.
everything was torn apart. It looks like something ate my upholstery and broke all my windows. It was a bear. Like, oh, okay, sure it is. What did you really
Yeah.
do? Right? Like, that's a hard one to explain. Don't mess with
I
animals, man. They'll always find a way to do something.
I remember I was in college and I hit a deer coming back home from college, and I was able to lie to my parents and the sorry, by the way, parents and the insurance adjuster that I hit a tree. Like the tree came down on top of my car, and they totally believed it, even though I totally cracked a deer driving on the freeway.
Why did you lie about it though? Like it wasn't like hitting a deer was your fault.
I was worried. I would probably, I mean, I don't really remember it, but I remember
Oh, wait a
hitting
minute.
it,
Was it one of those?
something like that. Anyways,
Yeah,
let's stay.
I don't know why you needed to make up that lie. Like, did you
I
hit a
s-
deer? No, tree fell on it. Like, we don't care,
well,
man. It's
and
the
I
car's
remember
still
there was
in.
like pieces of the deer hair stuck in the grill, and the adjuster was like, "Yeah, I don't really believe you, but I just don't want to be here anymore. So here you go." Um,
Yeah, you got to remember that as much as you don't care about your job, not saying your current job, But as much as you don't care about your job, other people don't care about their jobs either, man. We just want to, everybody just wants to check the boxes. Just let me
Hey,
check the box so I can go on about this, my life.
that's it, man. That's it. Nobody really wants to work. I think the days of loving your job, not to say we don't, I guess, but the days of actually loving your job and committing everything you have to it, I feel like that generation is kind of trickling out. And I'm not saying us, but I feel like that generation is slowly dying off, to where they're just jobs now. People just clock in, clock out.
I have always been baffled why jobs ask you why you want to work here. For money. Like, nobody wants to, like, why are you making me lie to you?
I mean, I do think at some places, people want to be there. I feel like maybe like 10% of it is you want to be there, but overall, it's about money. It's about
Yeah.
convenience. You know what I mean?
I just don't think that anybody really would choose to work. Like, why would you like to be, I can't think of anything that's not gonna, like, why would you want to work at this job picking up, well, I'm not gonna go into it, but anybody can make, that's just, let's move on, right? Like, don't make me lie.
Yeah.
Don't make me lie to you.
I I'm not entirely sure what you were putting down, but I feel like we got it, so that's good. All right, let's move on to Rhode Island, where apparently this past weekend in Westerly, Rhode Island, because apparently we're just giving all the Atlantic states love today. Uh, Say you're laying on the beach enjoying a nice day, 79 degrees, water, sun, and the next thing you know, there's a million dragonflies all conversing onto your one little tiny beach spot, forcing you to run into your car and never come back. That sounds like a horror movie to me. And hundreds of people lived that nightmare on a Rhode Island beach this past weekend.
Okay. I don't know which one. What do you want? Dang. What do
That
you
that's
want?
like something out of a horror movie. Like that doesn't happen.
Oh
Like
man,
that.
you've never been like, oh, well, I guess because I've gone hiking in Canada in the summertime, and like, yeah, that happens.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I no, I don't. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know what happens.
well, I mean, if you go to like, if you're going up north in a wet area in the summertime, like, you should not be surprised that there's mosquitoes, man. Don't mess with the planet.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
mess with animals. Don't mess with the planet. You're gonna lose every time.
well, I'm gonna say don't mess with with anything, because the last story I have is kind of a terrible one. But Drew Cohn, from Jacksonville, was hit by a vehicle 6 years ago. Spent almost a year in a coma, and he was fatally hit and killed this past week in Jacksonville by a car. I mean, if that's not the universe saying something, like
Wait
it's
a minute. He was in a coma for a year
yeah,
after getting his, like, his first couple of days out, he gets hit by another car.
yeah,
Was it his fault? Like, what was, did he, like, no disrespect, right? But was
yeah.
it kind
Right.
of one
No,
of
I
those things
mean,
like, man, you should have.
listen, this is no respect at all. I mean, this is just like one of those stories that I was just perusing and reading, and I was like, what? Like this is for real?
You can have the worst luck, man. Some people have.
Man,
Do you feel like you generally have bad luck? Do you feel like you have more bad luck or more good luck?
I mean, I'm gonna say good luck, but there are many days where I'm like, can I get a little bit of good luck? Maybe one thing to break my way today.
Hmm. I would say that I feel very lucky personally and unlucky professionally.
It's like, yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair to say.
Yeah,
But
you
then
feel the
again,
same way?
yeah, but then again, it's isn't that'd be a good poll question? I think because I feel like it'd be an overwhelmingly amount of people would agree with you on that.
Oh, that people feel unlucky professionally and lucky
Yeah.
personally. I think because personally you make your odds a little bit more. Like, professionally kind of depends on something. Because you can get laid off and be the best employee at a company and, like, we're just getting rid of this division. Sorry. Like, you can just have bad luck. I think it's a
Well, yeah.
little bit harder to have bad personal luck. You kind of make your circumstances a little bit more.
And just to go back on Mr. Cohn, unfortunately, he spent about 8 months in the coma from 2017 into 2018, and then was just recently hit and killed. But still doesn't go against the fact of like you escape death once. It's like the made me think of the Final Destination movies if you've ever seen those.
There is something where people who have been hit by lightning are then much more likely to be hit by lightning again. I think that there's some whatever, there's some science behind it or whatever. But like
Yeah.
if something bad happens to you, like that thing is going to happen to you again. I've always felt like that.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously, hearts go out to his family, but man, that's just a crazy story. Like that's just nuts.
Yeah, it's no
Like
good, man. That's no good. Do you have any more?
no, that's it for this week. We'll find some crazy stuff to talk about again
Okay.
next
Okay.
Monday. But
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
So our top 5 is top 5 villains we wish would have won. Now, did you go you felt like they deserved to win or you just wished they would have won?
Mine is just simply the fantasy I wish they would have won.
Okay. It's your number
And
5.
and I actually think my number one is going to be completely senseless to you and probably everybody else. But
Okay, good.
we'll
Good.
I'm prefacing that already because I think you're going to be like, what the fuck, man? I'm sorry for swearing, but what the hell? Like, so anyways,
All right.
um, my number 5, I put.
Don't apologize for swearing. If you're going to swear, just swear. Don't apologize for it.
Yeah,
Do it.
I don't know the rules anymore. My number 5, I have Magneto.
Okay. I agree. I think the only question about Magneto is where to put him on the list of top 5 villains who should have won.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you that I always want him to like. No, he probably had the right idea. Like the old peace and harmony thing never really seems to work out for anybody, and it's probably better to kind of protect your own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I always felt he was misunderstood, Magneto.
My number 5 is Castor Troy from Face Off.
That's a. How did I forget Castor Troy? That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Castor Troy, solid top 5 pick.
Castor Troy was one where you like, oh, I hope he wins. I liked him so much better. So much better. Like, I feel like you always usually, well, for me, I usually like the villain more because the villain can have more of a personality. But for
Mhm.
him, it was like, oh, I hope he wins. Like, you identified with him more than the other person. So Castor Troy should have won in my regard. I wanted him to win.
He was just trying to be a drug dealer, live his life. That's all he was trying to do.
All he was trying to do was drill some drugs. It's weird how, like, you were, like, dealing marijuana, you evil person. Like, oh, no, we're okay with that now. We're fine with it now. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, all good. My number 4, Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
Why do you want Shooter McGavin to win?
Because you know what? Not the biggest Adam Sandler fan. And you know what? Happy shouldn't even have been on the tour. All right. That was Shooter's tour to win. And he kept getting boned around. And sure, he tried hiring that big giant guy to, kill Adam Sandler. And it didn't work. But Shooter McGavin. That's my number 4.
Shooter McGavin, you felt like he deserved it a little bit more. That's
Yeah.
my number 5 is somebody or my number 4 rather, is someone who I think really deserves it. And that's Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote needs to win. Same with Tom from Tom and Jerry. Like they both, I always root for the both of them. I root for Wile E. Coyote and Tom from Tom and Jerry. Like they should win. The cats should win over the mouse.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, you could almost do a top 5 for like animated movie villains that should
Should have won.
that should have won. Yeah, that's almost a thing in itself, I feel.
I feel like they should finish those episodes with once the Coyote should win. The Coyote should win. What's your number 3?
Uh I'm gonna go Anakin Skywalker as my number 3.
Are you going specific now? See now, listen. I know a lot more about Star Wars than you do, so this is gonna get ugly here. Are you
Oh
talking
boy.
about specifically Anakin Skywalker? Or are you talking about Darth Vader?
I'm talking about when he was making the transformation in number 3,
Revenge
I
of the
think.
Sith.
And when he's fighting Obi-Wan, like you kind of just want like Anakin just is doing it out of love. He's just doing it for his mother and for Padme. And damn you, Obi-Wan, you always have to get in the way.
But see, Obi-Wan tried to teach him about the high ground. If you really look closely, like Obi-Wan teaches him about the high ground and Anakin didn't listen.
I mean,
Obi-Wan was probably, yeah, I'm gonna go full Star Wars here. Obi-Wan was probably, aside from Yoda, the only person who could have beat Anakin in that circumstance because he knew him. He knew how to play him. But I would agree.
yeah.
I want Darth Vader to win everything. Like, I don't know if I
I
want
mean,
Anakin Skywalker to win, but I want Darth Vader to win all the time.
I don't know if I wanted Darth Vader to win, but I wanted Anakin to have a better time than he did. That's for sure.
My number three, I can't quite remember his name. I think it's Bodhi, but Patrick Swayze's character from Point Break.
Okay, that's a solid choice, but I mean the character, if I'm remembering right, is just an okay character. I think Patrick Swayze is the reason why you truly care about that character.
I, I don't know what the difference is. I would never describe Bodhi or Patrick Swayze as an okay character, right? I mean, that's a pretty great movie. But even though he kind of didn't like lose, I feel like he should have gotten away with the money and everything. Like he should have won a little bit more.
Definitely should have won. I mean, why can you give him a little bit of the jackpot? But that's why he's a villain, and that's why
That's
he
why he's a
died.
villain. I feel no need for the villain to have to lose. I'm completely okay. Because in real life, it's not that the good guy wins. It's just that the good guy, the person who wins, becomes the good guy because they get to tell the story. It's not like the villains really lose in real life.
No, I mean, but we've created this. When I say we, humanity, good versus evil. What else keeps some people going besides good versus evil, right? I mean,
Yeah, but I think the truth is just whoever wins becomes the good guy, whether they were the good guy or the villain to begin with. You just become the good guy.
well, speaking of, my number two is Bill Butcher from the Gangs of New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I
Because
liked him more than I liked Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He was much more interesting.
yeah, by far, and I still don't know if he was really a villain, because that's just his character. Like, but he apparently was a villain. I know he's the antagonist, but like, I don't know, he was just doing what he had to do to survive. Once again, does that make you a villain? I don't know.
My number two, I don't know if it's technically going to count or not, but I'm going to put it as my number two. My number two is the White Walkers. They should have won the Game of Thrones. And that's the way that show should have ended. Because when they started it, spoiler alert, and they killed off that one character that nobody thought that they were going to kill off in the first episode, that set it up that this was a TV show with different stakes. And it should have continued, and the White Walkers should have won. The White Walkers should have won the Game of Thrones.
You know what's ironic about this
Hmm.
is I also have a Game of Thrones character but they're my number one.
Oh. Okay. Who's your number one then? Who are you? Because there's so many people you could pick.
I don't, and once again, you're gonna hate it, and everyone else is gonna hate it, and I'm gonna get shit for it. But I love this person for some reason, and they should have won, and that's Cersei Lannister.
Okay. I'm also a big Song of Ice and Fire. I've read some of the books. Well, I've read all the books. I don't know if you've read all the books. But in the books, Cersei's a little bit different. She's portrayed as much less cunning. It's much more obvious that she's like not only morally doesn't deserve it, but also intellectually doesn't deserve it. That like, oh, she's not somebody who should be in this position.
I haven't read all the books, but so I'm going strictly based off the TV show, and I know she's a terrible person, but once again, she's doing it all for family, and you know, I don't know what else to say. That show is one of the greatest shows ever. For one, secondly, I mean, she's not only like the worst person, but her spawn was a terrible person.
Oh, they
You know
were
what I
all
mean?
awful.
Like, so yeah. So and plus, she's a great character, and yeah. So she gets my number one villain that I wish would have won.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought like. Well, I guess if you're thinking of people who you would have want to win in that situation, it probably would be her. I would have wanted Tyrion to win a little bit more.
I mean,
Davos Seaworth wanted him to win. Braun wanted him to win. I would
Braun.
have been
Yep,
okay with him.
Braun would have been nice. Maybe the Hound, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm okay with him. I'll be okay with pretty much any character besides Cersei winning, to be honest with you.
I
She
know
was
I'm
the
gonna
one
get.
to me that was like, no, she needed to go down. She needed to get what
And,
she deserved.
and listen, I get it. I probably deserve shit for that, but I'm gonna stick with it. So
Yeah, that's what I would say. In the books, it's more clear that she kind of got what she deserved. Not so much in the show.
yeah, not so much in the show.
My number one is Thanos.
I knew
When
it.
he
I knew it.
I completely lost interest in that entire franchise as soon as Thanos lost. Completely lost all interest. He was the best thing about that.
Well, I mean, what was it? Just this past weekend, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Doctor Doom now. I mean, that guy just keeps getting role after role.
That's amazing to me. And that people will rather go. I think that if in any parts in life, maybe more in the movies and TV shows, if people have an idea that they think is going to be 50%, like people would rather take a bad idea that they think will be successful rather than like a new idea. I can't believe they recast him as Doctor Doom. Like, what's the point of doing that? Like, we already
Uh,
saw it. It ruins everything.
yeah, right. This is a discussion for another time, but it's like, what's going to be made up next? What's going to be redone from our childhood next? Like, they don't need to redo Doctor Doom. They just don't.
Well, I mean, as a comic book fan, like all the Doctor Dooms have been pretty terrible from the Fantastic Four. They need to actually do Doom right, and I don't think that they have done that with Robert Downey Jr. No offense to him, like you just gotta get somebody else, get anybody else.
Which, by the way, one of my honorable mention. I know I just cut you off, but one of my honorable mentions. Speaking of Doom, was The Rock from Doom.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go The Rock, the movie, that general. He that in honorable mentions, he had a pretty good case. Like, oh, he kind of should have won. He wasn't really like he had a pretty good point.
What was that? Ed Harris that played him, I think.
I can't keep track. That's one of those
Yeah,
actors that I know them, but I don't know what their name is.
yeah. I think it was Ed Harris, which is yeah. That's a good movie. Another underrated Nicolas Cage movie, by the way.
What else do you have in your honorable mention?
Doctor Evil from the Austin Powers
Okay, okay,
franchise. The Joker from Batman.
yeah, I could
And
see
then
that.
I put on this was a top 5 on all the lists I looked at, but Hannibal Lecter.
He kind of won. I don't know how
Yeah,
he lost. How did he lose?
yeah, because at the end of the movie, right? Isn't he like
He escapes. Like that's kind
yeah?
of winning, I think. I haven't seen this movie, but a lot of people put this in suggestions. Was Robert De Niro's character in Heat?
Okay.
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know anything about it, but I've heard that a bunch. Um, Denzel Washington's character in Training Day, Alonzo Harris.
Alonzo Harris, man. Yeah, that's God. What a great movie that is.
Also, Walter White.
Okay, okay. I mean, once again, he's borderline villain slash not villain, but um, I mean, man, he would be a top 5 if I actually thought of him as a villain. Maybe that's how good of a job he did. I didn't think he was a villain.
I think that he was the villain. Now, I will admit that I watched all of Breaking Bad except for like the last season, and I just never watched it.
Because everyone else watched it and you just can't do things that
I
everyone
just
else likes.
I just completely lost interest in it, and I never watched
Okay.
the end of Breaking Bad. I was like, nah,
F this. Not
I'm done
happening
with
today.
that. Okay, I'm gonna stop it.